Steve. Welcome to the Cricket Social.
Thank you, Max. Nice to see you again.
Let's talk about the new role.
Yep.
Let's start with the here and now. New role at Notts, now not playing. How did that come about? How are you finding it so far?
Yeah, well, I love it. It came about basically last winter, so not the one just gone, the one before. So I resigned as captain at the end of 2023 season, and I've always done a bit of coaching, like on the side, and always shown a passion for coaching. And we actually was at the gym. We normally have a meeting the week before you come back for pre-season, basically. And it's normally with the analyst head coach. You go through your stats from the season before, what you want to work on in the winter. Very generic stuff, like what every player does, really. Yeah, and as I sat down, I noticed actually on the time slots that everyone had half an hour and I had an hour for some reason. And I just thought, oh, it'd be lunch break or whatever. And I was like, anyway. But as I sat down, the analyst stood up and walked off. I was like, Jesus, can't be that bad, surely. Didn't have a great season. Yeah, and anyway, I sat down with Pete Moore's the head coach, and he just said, look, this is the crap. Like, would you be interested in coming on the coaching staff? Still available to play at that point. But more of a coaching role, lead the second team. Basically, try and bridge the gap from first team to second team, not standard wise, but because I've been in it a decent amount of time. Try and sort of, I guess, show the youngsters like the standards needed of you, and then it's not a bit of a surprise if someone gets picked, basically. So he said, "Look, have a chat with you. We're good mates anyway, me and Pete, and we spent some time together out of cricket, like barbecues or whatever, and socialising. So it wasn't really a difficult conversation. He said, have a word with Nicola, my wife, see what you think. It'll obviously be a bit less pay, which is, I always got told it's half the pay and double the hours, which is not far wrong. So I went in, and in the back, I didn't have a great season in 23, and in the back of my mind, I was like, body's getting a bit older. Not lose it because I love the game. I do love the game, but losing the love for playing. Like, there was a game, I missed at Surrey, and I was injured, and I missed the game. I was like, not biting to be out there, if that makes sense. Like, I want to play, but I'm not like, nothing's eating at me to say I'm missing the game. So maybe that was one sign. I didn't think it at the time.
Yeah, so you didn't wake up one morning and think,
no,
I'm done?
Not really. But I went home, to my wife, and as soon as Situate signed it, I was like, oh, right, okay, well, that was an easy decision. So then, obviously, a couple of conversations with the director of cricket, head coach. Obviously, worked out a contract for 3 years, which was, I feel really lucky because not everyone, a lot of people want to coach, but not a lot of people get the opportunity the way I have, and I feel really lucky to be working with some high skilled coaches that I can learn off. But yeah, I'm loving it. I am loving it.
Yeah. I'm going to say, because it's not like you haven't had experience in leading a team, so has the transition been quite easy, or you found it difficult? You're not being involved as much?
No, not at all, really. No, I always said to Hasib and Joe, who are the new captains, who doing a great job and finding their own way. Like, everyone's different, right? So I've always said, look, if you want to chat, I'll be here, but I'm not going to interrupt. I'll give you my opinion, but it doesn't bother me if you go with it. Like, I'm just giving you how I would do it, and they would have done it different than I would have when I did it. So it doesn't bother me one bit. I quite enjoy not being on the phone every 2 minutes, which is quite nice. But yeah, I still do a little bit of it in the second team. It's very different. Obviously, I still field on the pitch, so I still captain on the pitch and try and educate especially the young seamers about field placings and how I see the game, and hopefully it helps them. But no, I don't miss it one bit. No.
With the second team, then obviously the young lads are coming through. Was it a specific role that kind of Notts made just for yourself, with the difference from second team cricket to first team being quite big?
Yeah.
Is that something Notts had in mind specifically for you because you was captain and have obviously led?
I mean, I think the timing was just right.
Right.
Okay, I mean, it used to happen. Every team used to have a second team captain who was a senior player.
Right. Okay.
So when I was growing up at Lancashire, we had a guy called Gary Yates who did exactly the same as what I do now, and captain, but was part of the coaching staff. And speaking to a lot of people, it used to happen pretty much in every team. And I think the club saw over the few years before, like, probably didn't fit with. You have to have the right personnel as well.
Of course you do.
So,
yeah.
And it was something I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it, and I absolutely loved it. And it helped because we had good cricketers at the same time, and we won a lot of games, and we ended up winning the championship. So it's easier when you're winning.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the winning. I want them to win.
Yeah.
Because I want them to get into a mindset where they want to win. But at the same time, I know that it's not about the win. I know it's about developing players to play for Notts and hopefully go on to play for England. So we've seen like Freddie McCann, Farhan Ahmed, not just them two, but you know, they were on England 19s last winter. One of them 16 still, which is remarkable, really. You know, and they did really well in the first team. Now, we know that they're good cricketers, but they've also played in, the reality is they played in September where it's nice for a spinner to play and a batter to play. So their challenge is going to be, they're away respectively, Freddie's with the England Lions and Farhan's within the 19s at the minute away. So their challenge is going to be, come April when it's doing a bit, can Freddie hold his positions that we've worked on, and Farhan, can he hold the game and open it up later on in the game, for instance, and accelerate the game that way, which we believe they can. But it's going to be a challenge for them, and that's our job, I suppose, to put them in positions where they can deal with that.
Yeah. What sort of coach are you going to be? Are you going to be a hard grafter, or are you going to sit back and kind of let the guys get on with it?
I don't know. I think I've made I will have, I'm sure, made mistakes and already, and I'm sure I'll make more. But what I said to you earlier is I feel lucky to have the coaches I've got around me. And so Pete, Paul Franks, Kevin Shine, both are here, and I'm, you know, quite close to Andy Flower, who I've been very lucky to be going to 2 franchise tournaments with him and get experience. And Mick Newell, the director of cricket, who I've obviously got a good relationship with. I just feel that I can make mistakes, but feel safe making mistakes, because they will tell me, look, have you thought of doing it this way? And I'm not afraid of making mistakes. I'll try and do it my way, but then I'll ask, how did you think that went to other people? So I use the psychologist quite a lot to deal with players, because we have personality profiling and stuff like that. So different players, one might want an arm round and one might just tell him straight, for instance.
And how do you determine that? How do you find that out?
Well, it depends. I suppose if I know I'm going to have a conversation with someone the day after, I've got the night to ring the psychologist and say, how would you think I should approach this conversation, for instance?
Yeah.
But what coach? I'd like to think I'd be quite a relaxed coach externally, maybe not internally. But I'll be passionate. I know I love the game, and I want my teams to win. Hopefully I'll get a chance to be a head coach in the future. But ultimately, I feel like I can add value in all 3, 4 if you class leadership as well, all facets.
Yeah. I'm going to say, because you've kind of answered it there, but what is the aim with the coach, and where do you want to go with it eventually?
I don't know. I've had a dip in franchise, which I loved. I loved doing county cricket. It's changing so fast. Like, you know, since me and you met, I don't know what it was, 12 years ago, maybe. Maybe longer than that. 2012, I think it was.
What? 2012, yeah.
Yeah, so nearly 13 years ago. Like,
it has changed. So.
If you'd have said the stuff that's happened then, you'd have been like,
you're
talking rubbish. So I suppose, like, I'd love to coach internationally. I'd love to coach on the franchise circuit. I'd love to coach county cricket. I'd love to have a go at it all. But at the same time, you've got to be good, and you've got to have a bit of luck as well. And someone might have to take a punt on you, of course. I just want to, I don't know, just have a crack at it and see where it takes. A bit like what I did with cricket, playing, really. Have a crack at it. If I have a career, then brilliant.
Is that how you like to look at life? Just have a go with it.
I think so. I'm a bit of so my personality profile, since you're on it, would be I would be risk taker, not risk averse.
Yeah.
I don't mean I'm going to go and, you know, jump off here and see if I can survive. But if a job come up and I'd be like, probably not. I love it here, and I know that the next 2 or 3 years is really important for my, you know, future growth as a coach. Why not?
Yeah.
Can you lose?
No, I agree. No, it's a good way of looking at it. And what's the aim for Notts as a team right now?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's been a big change in the last 2 or 3 years. Like, a lot of players leave. I mean, if you look at the dressing room now, like, even since I joined 2010, so it's a decent amount of time ago, but a lot. So, you know, myself, Fletcher, Hales, Ball, Patel, Christian, Gurney, Brendan Taylor, James Taylor, Vessels, Chris Reed, like, you know what I mean? That's 11. I've just named 11. So it's a big change, and this is why it's really good for Hasib and Joe, particularly, to try and shape the teams the way they want to play.
They can stamp their mark.
Yeah, and I think they're, you know, I think we're doing well, but I don't think we're the finished article. You know, I think in Championship cricket, top half of Division 1 is a great aim for us.
Yeah.
Everyone, there's 18 teams at the start of the season will say we want to win it and we can win the Championship. Of course there is. But I think a great aim would be to be in that top half, and then you never know what happens. I think rather than saying we're going to win it, and then if you come second, you failed. You've not really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think the top half, if you came in the top 4 in the Championship, top 5, And then you never know what happens. A bit of luck along the way. 2020, I think, Joe's been very passionate about. We had a poor season. So I know he's really determined to put that right and get out of the group stage is a lesson. And I think that should be the aim, to get out of the group. So make quarterfinals. And again, anything can happen.
Yeah. What is the difference with the Notts team, with the white ball and the red ball team? Are they quite cohesive or are they quite separate? I've seen a lot of the lads training today. Someone were using white ball quite a lot with the red ball. Is it a separate thing or is it one big team, one big squad?
It's one big squad, yeah, but obviously we have certain people. So some people we have white ball contracted, so they're not going to... There's no point in them training red ball because they're not going to play it.
Right, yeah.
But no, everyone wants to play it, of course. I think it's tough. They're not two different sports, what some of the skill sets are. But now, with the way that England have been playing, or the way that run rates are going up in sort of red ball cricket, they're kind of coming more back together now, if that makes sense. So, like, 50 over cricket is an extended version of 2020 cricket. So you belt it in the power play, you kind of have a bit of a rebuild, but you don't. You still try and belt it, and then you belt it again at the end. Red ball cricket has been more positive, and then you end up having a run chase. Remember the one here? I think we were speaking about it before, about when Bairstow whacked 100 and Stokes, he got 70 odd at the end. That was basically like a white ball game with a red ball. That's what it was. So they're marrying up. So I think what you can do, you can have a skill set where it stands you in great stead for all three formats. So with balance, alignment, and rhythm, we go on about batting. So if you're balanced, you're aligned, and your rhythm's good, you've got a good chance of succeeding in all three formats. And then you just extend, obviously, your run rates to be high, your strike rate to be higher across all three formats, because you need it to be... I mean, you even got T10 cricket now, so that's...
Well, it's getting short.
So
yeah.
I mean, yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it? Now a lot of the lads are talking about strike rates over averages, and that's got to be a challenge as a coach. Like lads wanting to come in, hit ball, feel ball.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's weird. Like, and I think, again, this is where I'm quite lucky, is that I'm not... So Pete, who's the head coach, and Mick, the director of cricket, they would have direct contact with England.
Right, okay.
So if they're looking at... Obviously, because they're the head coach of the we've got a couple of centrally contracted players. And I suppose I'm at the bottom end of that. But, excuse me, when I say that, obviously I've got lads in the second team in a minute who are young but want to play for England. So you've got to try and...
Yeah, it's interesting.
Probably, I mean, you're good mates with Ben. And if you swat, I'm pretty sure that he would say you still need the basics of the game to get to that level where you do well. I think what they've spoke about a lot is not whacking every ball 460. Talk about, can you put the best ball, excuse me, best bowlers in the world under pressure, and taking the fear of failure away, pretty much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and I'd love to sit down with him and have a chat about it. I think some of the perception outside is not real to what actually goes on.
Yeah, the media have taken it a little bit too bad. This Baz ball, and
I think so. But it's been great to watch. I've loved watching it.
And like you say, the lads obviously are watching that, especially the young lads that you're working with. They're obviously bringing that in. Does that make it quite challenging for you then as a coach, if you are seeing lads wanting to hit every ball for six, getting out in funny ways, getting out in ways that probably when we were playing or yourself weren't normally going to see?
Yeah, and I suppose the game will judge them. So if they average 15 as a batter,
true,
you're probably not going to get a career.
Yeah.
I know they don't want averages, but if you average 70, you're most guaranteed to get a go in the first team at some point, or you will do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm a believer. I think it will take care of itself, really. And I know it's not all about numbers. And you would... I mean, my personal way of doing it was that you just try and... about what you're thinking. Should we have a chat about it? Any advice from experience that you can give? And then see where they're at. And ultimately, the game will be the judge of their performance, not you. So I don't really need to judge them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And there's loads of opportunities here for young lads then. So is it a big thing trying to get their lads through? Like, that's the main aim to keep...
Yeah, it's been a bit... Well, yes, obviously you want to try and produce your own.
Yeah.
And then if the right player becomes available externally, then you have a look at it. Of course you do. Again, I'm out of them conversations now because I'm not captain. But having been in that for 6 years, of course you have conversations about players and overseas players around the country and the world. But ultimately, we've just seen three of our lads come onto the staff, rookie contracts from our academy. We've got a couple more coming through, really exciting prospects. If you look at our first team squad at the minute, you've probably got we've got a lot of lads who are not spawned and come through the system. So, of course you want to produce your own, and you see the passion and what the county means to them. And I've come from external, so it's quite easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, we want to produce our own, but I came from the outside. But I know I came for the right reasons. They wanted me for the right reasons, and also now I'm not through and through, and I love the place, and I'm really passionate about seeing the next sort of phase of cricketers come through and do well for the county.
Yeah, let's touch on that then, because I know we spoke about it a little bit earlier. Wikipedia says that you got offered a 2-year deal at Lancashire.
Yeah.
You now tell me it wasn't. Talk to me about that decision, how you ended up here, and obviously the start of your career here at Notts.
Yeah, it was the end of 2009 season. I'd been so there's a rule it's changed now actually, but there was a rule that a county, if you're in the last year of your contract, a county can put a 28-day notice in on you. So I'm in the last year of my contract at Lancashire.
Yep.
Notts put a 28-day notice. So after that 28 days, they can speak to me about coming to Notts. And within that 28 days, Lancs have got the opportunity to offer you a contract. 28 days went by anyway, so I was always going to see what Notts said. So I wasn't going to sign the contract, even if I didn't get offered one. And I met Mick Newell on the M6 at some services, and yeah, he just laid out what he wanted really. And he wanted to really. They hadn't won a one-day trophy since 1987, 87 I think, and he wanted to try and revamp the one-day team basically. And you say sometimes that things happen for a reason. Like Graham White, we played under 19s together from Northants. They were speaking to him at the same time. So we were speaking to each other. He was like, I think I'm going to sign. And I was like, oh, well, that's more attractive for me to sign because, played against a few of them. So I know Franksy a little bit, knew Fletch a little bit. Yeah, and then it was just the opportunity, really. It wasn't financial. Wasn't going to get offered.
Yeah.
World-changing money. But it was a big decision because I was only 23, I think. I had a girlfriend who's now my wife back there. Obviously, mum and dad back there, family. If I had been here, because I played a couple of games here, but never known about Notts really. But it was the opportunity. He said, look, you're going to start in both white ball. For at the time was, I think, 40 overs and 20 overs, I think, or 50 and 20, whatever it was. And then we'll see what happens. And I got off to a decent start, and then I got in the championship side through an injury to Andre Adams. Ended up doing well on debut, and then stayed in the side. We ended up winning the championship.
You got 100 on debut?
Yeah, I did, yeah, at Hampshire, which was, again, you talk about luck and timing. It's like, obviously I played well, but the timing of getting in I got in for the best bowler in the side. So I played as a false seamer and ended up being number 8 batter, and I managed to play well. Yeah. But yeah, and then Lancashire, when I said I went to Notts, they then offered me a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
I said no. Yeah. So I did turn down a 2-year contract, but I turned down a 1-year contract first.
And then talk to me about your career here then. So you started off 2010. Finished playing here 2023.
23.
Long career.
24 technically.
Some of your highlights?
Yeah. Well, winning the championship in the first year. I've been lucky. I've won 6-7 trophies if you include the 100.
Yep.
So all the trophies, it's just, you can't explain it. It's like I don't know. It's a bit like when your child's born, you'd have had that feeling, or you get married or something. It's like a feeling you can't explain until it happens to you.
Yeah.
Like winning the trophies. And I was lucky win Division 1 in 2010. And then we spoke about, we actually won the YB40, it was called, which is the 40 over comp in 2013. So that was the change. And then we actually became, I think we were for a period of 10 years, the most successful, or won the most games percentage wise in the country for 10 years, which is really proud stat to have. So winning the trophies, 2017 when the white ball double and getting promoted was really cool. And then I think when I was captain, we went through we went 1,042 days without winning. No, I'll never forget that number. So over 3 years, genuine. I'll never forget it, through COVID and stuff. And then we got put back in Division 2, and we lost a game here against Warwickshire in that. No, not that. Sorry, the year before. We didn't get over the line somewhere. Worcester, and they were a team at that point we should have probably beat, and we didn't lose, but we drew, and we only drew because Ben Slater and Hassie batted for 2 days. Genuinely, 5 sessions.
Yeah,
saved the game. So we had to sit down after, and then we played Derby away the week after. Yeah, and we played really well. We ended up winning, and that was the first game. And then we beat Essex, who were the champions the year before of Div 1. Then we went on a bit of a run, and it was incredible, really. And I probably wasn't leading as well as I should have been neither. So that made me change as a leader.
And you knew that yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Well, after having the chat, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that chat, and then I was really lucky that the club actually paid for 10 hours with it, so I could ring him for an hour 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we ended up getting over the line in that game, and then the year after we were in Division 2, we ended up winning it. So I think changing and then all the same, like leave it in a better place than you found it. And I feel like with the transition we went through, I feel like I handed over in a good position.
Mm. How was the handover when you became captain? How did that come about? Did you always want to be a captain?
Yeah, I always had.
Have you always felt yourself as a bit of a leader?
I always had the passion to do it. I felt tactically, I felt like I was decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it. I've always spoke okay, I think, in front of people and tried to get my message across. Changed a few things that weren't really big things, like just wearing the same kit on the way to the ground and everybody having the same bag and stuff like that. And not that it was going to win us games. I just felt like just a bit of identity, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're going to walk in with a cap on, wear it forwards, don't wear it backwards. You know what I mean? So if a member's walking past you, genuinely little things like that and I've even got the slide. And the lads at the time, looking back, thinking they must have thought I was a right idiot. But I was doing it for in my like a good reason to get us So even when you come in the gate, why don't you window down for 30 seconds and ask how the gateman's day's going? Because that might be the best 30 seconds of his day. It might not be.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But he might go to the pub that night with his mates. So you know what? Joe Clark went his window down this morning and asked me how I was. He's a really nice lad. Like Joe Clark, he's a nice lad.
Yeah.
Just as an example. But do you know what I mean? And just little things like that. Like, because ultimately, they all want us to, they're fans, they want us to win as well. So if you go around to the ticket office, just have 2 or 3 minutes there. Like, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that. I love that.
So I wanted to do things like that, which, I think we did.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting the reward at the end, is what I'm trying to say. And it took a long time.
I suppose it does come hand in hand, though.
Yeah,
like that.
But I'm really thankful because it would have been very easy for the club to change myself and maybe even Pete as the leaders. And
Was there a period of time when I feel like you were
maybe
pressure?
I mean, they weren't going to tell. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there was, yeah. And right so, because it's professional sport.
Right.
But luckily we got the backing, and luckily it paid dividends in the end, and then, we then got promoted after that season. So 2023, which is my last season really.
Yeah.
I didn't have a great season, and we ended up staying up just with a game left, which was good. And and then I just felt like it was. I remember going sitting in the office across there actually, with Mick, and just saying, "Look, I'm thinking of stepping down. What do you think?" He said, "Can I tell you honestly?" He said, "I think it's the right time." So then I was like, "If you're saying it, I'm thinking it. I think."
Would you have come away different if you'd have said no?
I don't think so, because I knew. I think.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, if he'd said carry on, captain.
Carry on, yeah.
I mean, I think I'd have probably carried on.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you kind of just know. I think
Mm.
you just get a feeling, and then I remember I rang Pete. It was so we were safe the week before, so I kind of knew a couple of weeks out, and we were safe at Old Trafford actually. And we got rained off, and I think we played like 40 overs cricket in 4 days, and right, and it's perfect too. Yeah. And we played Middlesex here. Yeah, it was Middlesex, and if they lost, they went down. So anyway, we ended up winning. Then it was the third day where I went and chatted with Mick, and Mick said, "Look, it's fine. Let's just leave it a couple of weeks because you're going away, I'm going away, Pete's going away." I said, "Right, okay." And anyway, I went. Wait, I don't know. I remember this. I was on my way to pick a sushi. There's a sushi restaurant in Loughborough. It's shut down now. I'm gutted. Right, and I was on my way there, and I was like, something was nagging at me that didn't feel right. Just didn't. I was like, I want to tell the lads. Like, I don't want it to just go on a WhatsApp group in 2 months' time when you've got one player in Australia, one player in. You know what I mean? I want to tell.
No, I understand that.
I'm close mates with a lot of them.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
But it was also the same week that Jake Ball was leaving, Samet was leaving, so they got presented with stuff. Stuart Broad had an N named after him. And then I'm going to they're not going to be shit about this, really. But anyway, so I rang the psychologist actually, and I just said, "Look, it don't feel right, this." And he's like, "Just tell him." He's like, obviously being Pete and me, and he said, "Just if you feel like it's right, just do it tomorrow."
Yeah.
And I remember, so then I rang Pete, and I said, "Look, I'm thinking this." He said, "Yeah, I do think it's the right time." So then 3 of us obviously aligned.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, "The only thing is, I don't want to wait out, not because I'm in a rush to tell them. I just want to be the one to tell them. I don't want it to come from Mick on a WhatsApp group, for instance." And they were fine with it. So after the game, I remember driving. I'd cried on the way in because I rang what I wanted to do, I wanted to tell Fletch before. I don't know why. I just wanted to tell Fletch because I felt like he's one of my best mates at the club, played with him the longest. And I wanted to tell, so I rang him on the way in. Yeah, and then I just burst into tears because I knew it was my last day as captain of the club.
Yeah.
And it's been such an honour and a privilege to do it. And it meant so much to me. Yeah, and then so I get here, I'm like, right, dust yourself off. Like, you got to go, yeah. Then I remember walking on the field. I know this is the last time I'm going to walk on the field as captain. Just little things like that. And I went out batting. I played. I got 20 odd quick. Got stumped. I went to sweep and my foot dragged out. It was horrible. Anyway, I ended up winning. Yeah, and I told him after the game and a few tears and
I can imagine.
a lot of hugs and that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was. Yeah.
No, I can imagine.
But it was good.
Yeah.
Good ride.
Looking back on your career, then some of the highlights. You've also mentioned the low points, trophies.
Yeah.
Would you say you were more of a 4-day player, 1-day player?
Probably.
What did you prefer?
I actually, my last 4 years of 50 over cricket were my best, probably stats.
Right. Okay.
I think that suited me, like get in, but then could whack it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure it out. I don't know. Should probably have better. I mean, my best innings ever would have been a 50 over semi final against Essex. When we chased, I think we chased 370, something like that. I think it was at the time it was the highest chase ever in domestic cricket. So myself and Samit put 180 on, I think, to win the game. That was my best individual performance, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably 50 over cricket.
50 over cricket.
Did okay.
Yeah. What was it like with the Rockets, with the 100? And
The 100.
What's your opinion on the 100 as well?
Yeah, I think it's a great product.
Yeah.
I love. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's obviously there's big things in the media about it being sold to, multiple people, India or America.
Yeah.
And to get the best players, like ultimately, you better pay them most money. Like I know it sounds stupid, but you don't. Of course you do.
Yeah.
But when I was lucky enough to have 2 years as a player and 1 year as a coach in the 100, and I loved it. Like to get the target to get more kids and girls into cricket has done its exact what it said. I think, and more people who I know, even where I live, have come watching it, and then they've come to watch Notts, which is good for us as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Really good. Really.
How's it affected kind of county cricket and the circuit itself? Because obviously there've been murmurs of like the schedule, obviously.
Yeah.
The 50 over stuff now is played
Behind it.
the same time as the 100, which has now made that a bit more of a second team competition, which is not bad for the younger players, but
Development.
But what's your thoughts on that, like with scheduling the 100 and the amount of cricket people are playing now?
I think we play a lot of cricket. Like, I think you're squeezing sort of.
It's kind of diluting.
Yeah, it's a lot of cricket like that, especially if you want peak performance every time people go out. It's virtually impossible. Like especially seam bowlers.
Yeah,
you can't play your best seam bowlers if you play all formats. You can't play them every game. They'll just break, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in my opinion. It's fact. But I don't think the 100's changed county cricket. Obviously, the 50 over comp now is what I say development. You still get a lot of good players in that 50 over comp, but it's still a good competition, great competition out to it. And then you get the step up. So the positive of it is you see lads who probably wouldn't have played any first team cricket in the season if all the players were available to getting 5 or 6 games in the first team. So then you find out about them as well. So it does have its positives. But the reality is the 100's going nowhere. Or that format, the product, what they're going to sell isn't going anywhere. So then you probably, if you want less cricket, you have to lose it from somewhere else. So whether that's losing 4 4-day games, so there's 16 days cricket back, plus a bit of recovery time, you have 10 games of county championship cricket. Whether that changes into 3 divisions of 6, so you play. Do you get what I mean? So we did a conference system one year, which I thought worked really well. 3 divisions of 6, so you have, I don't know, League 1, League 2, League 3, whatever it is. Promotion, relegation, 1. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, really. But one thing is for sure, that the one with ultimately the most money is going nowhere.
Money talks.
So it's how can you still get the best test team out there?
Yeah.
And a competitive 50 over, the best 50 over side with the best 2020 side.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. Because if you had to start your career again, what would you like to go down? Say with obviously the franchise stuff now.
This is a tough question.
This is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You obviously, would you be chasing the money, or would you obviously? I suppose it's a little bit different now because obviously techniques have changed and whatnot, and the way Ben is playing cricket with England. But a lot of lads now are quite early on in their careers choosing franchise cricket.
Yep.
over county championship, over county cricket. If you had to start again and do your career, is that something that you would potentially?
Good question. Possibly. I still think you have to have some fundamentals that goes from red ball cricket to white ball cricket, whether it's strength, power, body position, whatever it is. But it's tough. Like, and I think we were lucky because we had Hales was one of the first to go. What I think him and Adil Rashid were actually the first two to go on a white ball contract in England. Now you see it; it's normal now.
Yeah.
And now the changes with the NOCs, which is if you can go and play in an overseas comp while the season's going on. So that's going on at the minute in the background. So we've had a lot of white ball players, so we kind of used to it a little bit, whereas other teams haven't as much as us. Everyone's got them now somewhere. So we're kind of, I don't know, I suppose you've got to let the clubs do it the way they do it, and they deal with it. They see fit to it. I think we've dealt with it really, really well because we've probably had the longest go at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So you didn't ask this question. Are you
I'm
going
trying
down
to
white
swerve
ball?
I'm trying to
route?
swerve you.
All right, you'll be
All right,
teaching a lot.
this is how I would answer it, right? If you become a Test match cricketer,
Yeah.
you will still earn a lot of money.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's about money, you can still earn a lot of money in both ways. What I would say. So I would find out very quickly which one I'm better at and try and make the most money out of that format. That's what I would.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I like that. I like that. Let's talk about some of the players you played with, big influences, coaches, players who have been massive influences on yourself.
Yeah, well, probably going real far back. My dad firstly got me into cricket when I played my first game when I was 6, an under 11s game. But when I got probably a bit better, under 11s, under 12s, academy at Lancashire at 15, I think, 14, 15. A guy called John Stanworth, who was the academy director at Lancashire. So he was the first one who probably made me feel like I could have a go at it as a career. I remember him. I remember exactly where I was actually. It's a bit weird, when you have a thing with dates and stuff like it's. He rang me. I was turning right at this place in Atherton, funnily enough.
Good memory.
Yeah, yeah. And he just said, "Look, I'd just been to the 19th World Cup and did okay." And he'd been pushing. I didn't know he'd been pushing me to play in the 50 over comp for Lancashire. And he said, "Look, you're going to travel down to Worcester. I think there's a good chance you'll play." I was like, "Sure." Right. I had to go and pick. I remember going first time I had my name on my back, number 25.
Good feeling.
Yeah.
Good feeling.
Picked it up from Lim Services on the M6. Yeah, Exito kit it was. Remember Exito? Probably before you. I'm sure my age now. Anyway, went to Worcester, ended up playing. Yeah, and in that dressing room, Stuart Law, who's like legend. Then later that year, I was lucky enough to play with Flintoff and VVS Laxman. So that was from John Stanworth. He would have been my first sort of inspiration. Like backer probably. Yeah, and then through that, obviously, Pete Moores actually was head coach at Lancashire in 2009. That was his first season. After he just left England in 08, came to that, and I was in Australia for the winter, like when we met. Actually, not the same year, but. And he came back, I was just, this is unbelievable. Like, he just changed the way I thought about cricket. Like, the winter wasn't just about running up hills. It was about developing your skill and getting better at cricket as well as becoming physically better. And then at the end of the 2009 season, Notts came in for me. But Pete was head coach, and I loved working with him. And I was like, what do I do here? Because I want to work with him, but I also need some opportunity to go and play. And I just said, look, the only reason I would stay would be because of you, and I don't think that's right. Like, I need to go and find it. I'm good enough. And anyway, it's funny how things work, because then he came here and we ended up having a great relationship here. So, and he would be the biggest, probably, I think, in my career. Mick, obviously, bringing me across from Notts, from Lancashire to Notts. Yeah, it's not saying that you have a steady road the whole way through. You don't have your disagreements, but I think there's a level of respect there that we'll all respect. Well, I respect them three, definitely.
Yeah. Player-wise, any players that you've absolutely loved playing with?
Yeah, Fletch.
He's a character in that.
Yeah, he's the best. All of them. Like, I've loved all my teams. Like, I've played, and I've been lucky enough to play a decent amount of time that I've played with. So I started off with Side Bottom and Swan Reed, for instance.
Yeah.
And I'm like they play for England. I'm like starstruck a little bit. Broad, obviously. would be the biggest name I've played with. And I was looking to play a couple of games with Anderson at Lancashire. But obviously, myself and Stuart played under 19s together as well. So I kind of had that. He was one of the lads I spoke to before I came, actually. So he's obviously, and we still speak now. So there's him, Fletch, Jake Ball, and Harry Gurney, a godfather to my youngest daughter. And still, we don't see each other a lot now because Harry's got his pubs and Jake's in Somerset. Fletch is, he's doing a bit of coaching at Lancashire Women, and he's just set up his own coaching. So we still stay. We've got kids the same age, so we still stay in touch quite a lot. Sammy obviously did a lot, like bowling in tandem together and batted a lot together.
Yeah.
Still, so we all actually caught up at Hales. Obviously, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
We just been to his wedding in South Africa, which was amazing. So we all got chance. Brendan Taylor. So don't see him obviously from a lot at all. He's in Zimbabwe. But then that's when you asked me before about your best moments, and that's when you realise, because you see people and you remember the trophy win straight away and the night out you had or whatever it is. So all of them who I've just named. Dave Hussey would be another one that I keep in contact with.
Yeah, because there's not many sports really like it when you spend so much time
11
on the field. On the field, it's not like football. It's 90 minutes.
They're
not just.
It's literally now 11, like just short of 11 months. We come back, so we finished last day in September.
Yeah,
and then like 14th, 15th of November, they're back in. So you get 6 weeks off. Don't get me wrong, I won't swap the life I have. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that, and then you're still together 11 months, and we're pretty relaxed. Like if you want a weekend away, have a weekend away, like in the winter, because you know how full on it is in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, you spend a lot of time. You probably spent genuinely, especially when I was captain, I spent more time with Fletch than I would have been my wife. Genuinely in the summer. That's no lie.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Separate rooms, but yeah, spent a lot of time here.
Love it.
Yeah.
With some of the top guys that you played with, then what would you say made them elite players?
Yeah. Well, skill first.
Skill, obviously. Yeah.
Mindset. Yeah, definitely.
In what sort of way? What makes some? Obviously, Stuart's played a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know. He was just meant to be good, I think. Yeah, but so he worked a lot. In fact, you can listen to it as a podcast. He did the high performance podcast with Jake Humphries.
Yeah.
And he spoke about actually how he went from being good to being very, and it was his mindset. And he spoke, I think he used psychologists and stuff like that. So he has things like if he played, he would look over the stand, so he's not looking at the crowd. For instance, if he gets it from, he wanted to be the same. So if he got it for 4 or got a wicket, obviously the celebration, but you wouldn't know the difference. So level-headed. Or Hales, for instance, he's just a freakish mindset of he could get 5 innings in a row and then the exact same bowler will bowl and get 150 against it. Like he's a freak. But his mindset of not being bothered about failure, I'm sure he was deep down, but his external, how he came across, keep believing that he would do it, would turn, and he would be, and if you look at his record in big games, it's stupid. Samit would be one for me. Like his belief, like he still thinks now he should be in the IPL. I'm telling you, if you asked him, he thinks he should be playing in the IPL.
It's obviously worked.
And even if some people think he shouldn't, that helps him do as well as he did.
Yeah.
And if you see him in big games, and you see, if TV cameras were here, he would be going to stand in front of them and warm up. He wouldn't do that if there's no cameras here.
Right.
And it was some of it's for show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he would perform on the biggest stage.
You kind of got to be a little bit.
He performed honestly.
Yeah.
If you wanted someone under pressure in front of 20,000 to bowl
the one.
Genuinely, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say your biggest attribute was as a cricketer?
I suppose it's a hard question for me to answer.
Come on.
I think I cope with pressure okay. I think big moments. I think
you enjoy being under difficult moments.
I enjoy it, but I don't think it. I didn't really get phased.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're nervous. Of course, if you're playing in front of a decent crowd, you're nervous. But I think I stood up in a few big moments to help the team get over the line.
Yeah.
I think my biggest attribute would be, and I think I'm pretty confident that it would be this, is that I would put the team before anything individual.
Yeah.
So I would bat wherever they asked, or I would bowl with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would put the team before anything that I wanted to do. I would put the team to my detriment if it meant us winning.
And
that would be
would you say that then made you the captain that you are, the leader that you are?
Maybe.
That was one of your strongest.
I think that would have been my strongest.
Yeah.
I was never bothered really. I obviously wanted to do well because it's my job. But I wasn't. If I got, and I can hand on heart say this, if I got naught and we won, I would.
You'd be happy with that.
I'd rather that than me get 100 and lose. And that's genuine. Obviously, I wanted to.
I believe that.
But genuine. That's genuinely true.
Yeah. Interesting. Young cricketers coming through now.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you be giving these young cricketers then? Obviously, playing with the players you played with, the leadership that you've had. What's the main piece of advice you give these young cricketers coming through?
Probably to just stay in the present moment, because there's a lot externally going on. That I can get you in this comp. You can play this comp. Can you go here? Do you want to play white ball? Do you want to play red ball? Just
Play.
Strip everything back a little bit. Let's just focus on sort of making you the best you can be at this particular skill right now.
Yep.
And then if you're good enough, that stuff will take care of itself.
Nice. Last question. How do you want to be remembered in the game?
I think if I got to the end, whatever it was, coaching career, I think if the people I worked and played with said that I was a good person and give everything to that cause, then I'd be happy.
Super. Steve, an absolute hero.
Please, mate.
Thank you, mate.